all gentlemen.
Thank you for having us, Nancy. That really
Yes, thank you, and congratulations. I know you had an outdoor screening yesterday.
We actually had our premiere last night, outside and distanced and by the waterfront, and it was beautiful. And we have our second screening tonight, actually inside a theater. So yeah, at the Lightbox Theater. So it's going to be interesting.
So I always hear about the filmmakers getting a chance, like the exciting moment of going to the theater and then at the end seeing people's like surprises. Did you get to see that yesterday while it was an outdoor film?
It was, yeah. I mean, Tam, you can speak to this a bit as well, but I think it was distance. It was intimate, but not. But it just felt right. I don't know. It was with the psychology of what's happening right now. I think it was done really well. So, but Tam, please.
Yeah, I feel like that was a very beautiful presentation, just with the scenery, and yeah, Charles, it was kind of like that intimate. You could feel like the energy that everybody had, like watching the film, and of course, it's one of my first like TIFF screenings for something that I've been on. Like this is the first TIFF like premiere that I've attended, and it's about like a movie that I appeared on. So yeah, just. It's a very good feeling, like everybody there is so tuned in, and just going up on stage and then getting to converse and share about something that I was so passionate on, and everybody else is on the same page is a really great feeling. It was really good.
That's awesome. We share something. This is my first time also being a part of TIFF, thanks to the pandemic. Apparently, it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the movie. No spoilers, of course. But okay, so for you, Charles, writer, part of the writers, and you directed. Where did you get this concept of the story? I mean, I read somewhere that was based on the police breakdown in Toronto. Is this right?
I mean, it's part of it. It's accumulation of events and things, and again, reading and observing, but it really evolved out of a question. I mean, there's dramatizing a story, but it has to come from something, and it was really about the cycle of generational trauma for Black boys, and I want to look at that and think of a way how to tell that story that really kind of also illustrated the origins of the political hand in that. So it was an evolution of also being attracted to the crime noir genre, and placing ourselves in that sort of canon of storytelling, but with trying to inject that story with some meaning. So that is where it all kind of culminated into this film, and it started in 2010. So that journey began then, and here we are now in presenting the final draft incarnation with Saul and Tam and our amazing cast and team, and all together who contributed to telling this story. You just make the canvas, and then you have all the artists touch that canvas, and then it becomes something that we all make together. So yeah.
Great. So Saul, not only were you, the main lead in this film, but also you were involved in the music?
Yeah. Yeah, from the moment that Charles approached me with the script, he told me that he wanted me to be involved musically, which I kind of kept in the back of my mind, because I was so excited about acting and wanting to, understand the script and the character and what have you. But there was a little magic involved in that I was already in the process. I mean, I'm always working on music, but I was in the process of collaborating with someone that I knew was dear to Charles and I, who's Robert Del Naja from Massive Attack. And so at one point, while working with Robert, I had the sense that maybe some of this music was connected to this film. And so with Robert's permission, I shared it with Charles and was able to introduce them. And so there was a sort of synergy that came about from, the excitement of us for me and Robert to have an immediate home to our collaborative sort of like just playing around. And then for me, after the film was shot, to then take the time to really focus in on, you know, the sounds and the images, and disassociate myself from what I was seeing on screen in terms of my own performance, and think about what Charles referenced, you know, that crime noir genre and the sort of sounds that could belong to these particular images. And that was a lot of fun.
Nice. And was the begin one of my favorite parts of the film, I have to say, was the beginning, the intro. I mean, we're not most of us are not familiar to what's going on in Africa with gangs and the army and politics. So how did that concept come about?
Well, it's really coming from the origin of, you know, the political violence that came out of in Jamaica, and the way that these political bodies were working, and who they empowered and worked with to enforce their way of trying to influence voting and societies and communities. It's about control, right? Like and having that sort of political space that has actually, you know, caused a lot of problems. You know, the CIA's involvement in how countries are run, and politically attaching themselves, and all I'm saying is that there's always someone by the border, or in a political position, or in some sort of authoritative space, that has to either, you know, open a lock or turn a blind eye or let someone through the border in order for these things to happen, right? Yeah. And so when I see the constant sort of idea of criminalizing young Black boys, like I have some questions. And so, yeah. so that is really where it's all coming from. And so to depict that, I think, you know, there was a period where I wanted to go to Jamaica and shoot these scenes and stuff. And so resources and finances also dictate how you creatively do something. And creating that opening was really a way of not using an opening credit sequence just to show the actors' names, but to use that space to articulate the story and the origins of where people are going. So it's part of history that a lot of people may not be looking up, and so I want to put that first and foremost, like right in the front of the film. Yeah.
Well, like I said, that's very impressive. It was a really smart move too, for people to get, you know, a sense like, hey, there's stuff going out there.
Yeah, and Bob Marley leading the vibe, like right at the get-go. I mean, you know, a very celebrated artist who spoke about, tried to unify country and break down that political nonsense, and so that's what he stood for, and that's why we wanted that voice right at the front.
Great. Thamela, please tell me about your experience in this film, and what was it about it that mainly attracted you to being a part of it?
Well, it was the food. I gotta be honest. And
you could pay him. You just feed him.
No, it was mainly just seeing. Well, I was approached with this script, and I didn't even really have to read it to know like how like invested and how passionate Charles was about this, because that comes across very like quickly and very easily. And then once I got into the script, you know, I was seeing how I'd be involved with having two roles, and, you know, seeing what kind of message that was sending, like the significance behind that decision, you know, the symbolism that came with it, both, you know, having that message that, you know, there's supposed to be a similarity between these two characters, and there's supposed to be like that sort of circumstantial connection that you see when you have like, you know, this person over here and this person over here. So, you know, that's one of the things that made me very intrigued to understand the way this was gonna pan out. And of course, you know, when I got on set, I had such a great environment around me. I had Charles and I had Saul, you know, kind of helping me and really helping me establish like, you know, some guideline and some direction for, how I'm supposed to, or how I'm going to conduct this piece, how I'm going to conduct this film. So yeah, it was just, it was a lot of just, seeing the kind of thing that they were trying to convey through the script, seeing how everything was being put together just on paper, and then having that like eager sense of ambition to, want to see it to fruition. So yeah, that's a lot of what engaged me.
And no cap, we are willing to work for Caribbean food.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the film had like some strong quotes, and one I'm gonna say that Athena said that caught my attention, and you can just give any feedback on how you feel about it, where it says, "Where there is poverty, there's no mercy," and that's really sad.
Yeah, I think it's also the idea of dreams and poverty together. It's like, and that idea of I just think that there's the mashup and the combination of where, there's poverty and someone wants to get out of that, and some extremes that we go to do that, it can be very merciless, right? Yeah.
And I think we can also talk about intellectual poverty, because where there is intellectual poverty, where you are not connected enough to a truthful history, where you have not been really been taught the role of these men in power, these corporations in power, these governments, and the the inhumanity in systems that have been set up against people that have been kept impoverished. I would say that there is a merciless poverty in relation to that as well, so that you see, when you talk about this sort of like raw capitalism of the free market, there is a merciless there that some men and people are raised to admire, like the heartless businessman, which we might substitute with the idea of just a great business person. Actually, there is when you have that sort of intellectual poverty and empathetic poverty, where you're unable to actually realize that your success comes at the cost of the exploitation and the suppression of other people and other lives and other narratives and other voices. There's great poverty there too, that we all suffer as a result of.
Very true.
Very true. Beautiful.
And then there was also another quote, evolution favors the adaptable, not the strong. I mean, you touched some strong points there. You didn't have to say many words to say a lot. That's impressive.
Well, yeah, I think what Charles is getting at there is about the power of vulnerability, and so much has been said about power. And in a film like this that looks at how do we end generational trauma, and looks at, affecting the lives of Black boys, and investigates how, Black men and Black boys have been affected by this system, and have sometimes chosen to perpetuate certain ideas or ideologies through choices in life. The role that adaptability or vulnerability can play in offering alternative approaches, nurturing approaches to life, is crucial to our growth, to our understanding of ourselves, and to the reckoning of society.
Yeah. So, Thamela, you were one key character, and one key character I wish I could touch on a couple of things, but I can't give away a good film. But based on your character and your role overall, what do you hope young kids take away from watching this film?
I guess I would want them to know that, if they're in a position like this, that, it's not the end all be all, for sure, that, there is an alternative. I think, one of the things that were sought after from the script was that, this isn't something that your life should be reduced to. A kind of circumstance like this isn't something that, you know, is glamorous, isn't something that is, you know, glorified or should be glorified, because, you know, at the end of the day, like, it brings a lot of chaos, it brings destruction, and for what cost is very abysmal, is very diminishing. That return isn't, you know, something that you should be seeking after. So and that's one of the things that I discovered from reading the script is, and one of the primary messages is that, you know, there is a reason to escape these circumstances, and, you know, the reason is the reward in a lot of cases. So yeah, if I would to have, you know, somebody my age take something away from this film, is that, you know, your decisions, I mean, your life isn't reduced to just the decisions that you make and just the crowd that you're involved in, and that, you know, if you are in a compromising circumstance, that it isn't the end all be all to who you can become.
That's great. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations, you know, premiering the film at the TIFF 2020. Not your first time, Charles, right?
No, it's not my first, and hopefully won't be the last. But yeah, this one's a special one for sure. This one is a very special one.
Well, congratulations to all of you. Great film. I enjoyed it. And like I said before, starring Rolling, you got me. So people will definitely appreciate it.
I hope so. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.